Trains are a funny thing for me because when I'm on them in real life, I can't wait to get off the bloody things. But when I get home, I quite enjoy puzzle games that have trains as part of their gameplay mechanics. And Railbound is a game that I bought last week on release on Steam, and I've had a great time playing. It's a game that is all about getting the train carriages in the right order as they reach their destination. So it's about seeing what track you can lay down and how you can manoeuvre that track so that you get carriage 1 to arrive before 2, before 3. This starts out very simply because it will be just about drawing train tracks in so that you can navigate yourself around the fixed, squared up environment so that you can get them to arrive in the right order. But very quickly you'll start to see other mechanics being added as you go across the 8 worlds and about 150-ish levels. You start off with things like tunnels, which allow you to leap across different parts of the map, but it also means that you can then get trains to arrive in certain orders. You'll then start to notice that it gets very advantageous to start building in loops. And this means that you can send like a train backwards and then arrive going back in a different order, say if number 3 is going to arrive before number 2 and number 1. And this becomes a real core go-to mechanic throughout Railbound, and if you understand that constantly pushing out various carriages in loops that circle round on each other and then come and do something else later is going to be part of almost all of the levels from about World 4 onwards, then you'll have an easy time with Railbound. After you start discovering this, it adds in things like switches that will change some tracks from going left to right, for example, or it could be that it's raising or lowering barriers that will stop certain trains that are waiting behind certain coloured barriers that will then raise and drop as they go around the different loops that they're doing. You'll also find that in some levels there are passengers to collect as well, and those passengers have to be collected by certain train carriages with a certain number on it. So you can't break the level by trying to go and grab a different carriage to grab the passenger. It has to be that specific one. All of this requires timing, and what you'll be doing is quite a bit of trial and error of quickly restarting a level and then pressing go and seeing what happens with all of the train's carriages as they all smash into each other or run out of track. Because your track is very limited for what it is that you do. And what that does mean is that there'll only ever be like a couple of variants of solutions that you can get in levels. Some levels do have a slight variation of placement in their train tracks, which is quite cool. And if you do get stuck, there is a progressive hint system, which I found quite helpful when I started to get stuck on a couple of very specific levels in the game. I found the difficulty level in Railbound to kind of, and I get this with quite a few things where you have to plan out visually where something's going to go without actually seeing it all take place in front of your eyes. Sometimes you'll look at a level and it just doesn't make sense to you, and then you'll have like the next 4 levels afterwards where you just think this is a breeze because it just logically in your head works. So yeah, I found this a couple of times with Railbound, but that progressive hint system really helped me out because it gives out like a faint line for where some of the tracks can go. And then if you don't get it right and you get it wrong, you can then press hint again and it will lay out a little bit more for you. It will never tell you the exact full 100% solution, but it does go to the point where you kind of go, oh, okay, I can fill in the gaps quite easily now, thank you, and you'll watch the level unfold. The game took me a few hours to complete. It wasn't like ridiculously taxingly difficult. There are some additional bonus levels that you can unlock which give you harder variants of some of the layouts of a level, which is quite cool. And what Railbound have said is that they're going to be adding on more levels and more game mechanics towards the end of 2022 in a post-launch update. That I believe will be free. So yeah, it'll take about 2.5-3 hours to complete the actual game as is now, with a little bit of chunk more coming later on down the line. This is a nice, wholesome, relaxing puzzle game. There's no time pressure to anything that you do. You just need to be methodical in how you get to the end of your answers. And if you do get utterly stuck, the progressive help system really helps you out. Recommended for the calmer side of puzzle gamers, if that's what you're into. Written review will be over on highplanegames.com. Take care. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.